Acts
Acts
chapter 24,
chapter 24,
26 to
26 to
chapter 25,
chapter 25,
8.
8.
At the same time,
At the same time,
he hoped that
he hoped that
money would be given him
money would be given him
by Paul.
by Paul.
So he sent for him
So he sent for him
often
often
and conversed with him.
and conversed with him.
When 2 years had elapsed,
When 2 years had elapsed,
Felix was
Felix was
succeeded by
succeeded by
Porcius Festus,
Porcius Festus,
and desiring
and desiring
to do
to do
the Jews a favor,
the Jews a favor.
Felix left Paul in prison.
Felix left Paul in prison.
Acts
Acts
chapter 25.
chapter 25.
Now 3 days after
Now 3 days after
Festus
Festus
had arrived
had arrived
in the province,
in the province,
he went up to Jerusalem
he went up to Jerusalem
from Caesarea,
from Caesarea,
and the chief priests
and the chief priests
and the principal men
and the principal men
of the Jews
of the Jews
laid out their case
laid out their case
against Paul,
against Paul,
and they urged him,
and they urged him,
asking as a favor against Paul
against Paul
that he summon him
that he summoned him
to Jerusalem,
to Jerusalem
because
because
they were planning
they were planning
an ambush
an ambush
to kill him on the way.
to kill him on the way.
Festus replied that
Festus replied that
Paul was being kept
Paul was being kept
at Caesarea
at Caesarea
and that he himself
and that he himself
intended to go there shortly.
there shortly.
So said he,
Let
let the men of authority
the men of authority
among you
among you
go down with me,
go down with me,
and if there is
and if there is
anything wrong
anything wrong
about the man,
about man,
let them bring
charges
against him.
against him
After he stayed among them,
after he stayed among them
not more than
not more than
8 or 10 days.
8 or 10 days.
He went down to Caesarea,
He went down to Caesarea,
and the next day
and the next day
he took his seat
he took his seat
on the tribunal
on the tribunal
and ordered Paul to be brought.
and ordered Paul to be brought.
When he had arrived,
When he had arrived,
the Jews who had come down
the Jews who had come down
from Jerusalem
from Jerusalem
stood around him, bringing many and serious charges against him that they could not prove. Paul argued in his defense,
Paul argued in his defense,
neither against the law of the Jews nor against the temple nor against Caesar have I committed any offense. Acts chapter 25,
Chapter 25,
9 to
9 to
chapter 25,
chapter 25,
18.
18.
But Festus,
But Festus,
wishing to do
wishing to do
the Jews a favor,
Jews a favor,
said to Paul,
said to Paul,
do you wish to go up
Do you wish to go up
to Jerusalem
to Jerusalem
and there be tried
and they will tried
on these charges
on these charges
before me.
before me.
But Paul said,
But Paul said,
I am standing before
I'm standing before Caesar,
Caesar's tribunal,
Caesar's tribunal,
where I ought to be tried.
where I ought to be tried.
To the Jews,
To the Jews,
I have done no wrong,
I have done no wrong,
as you yourself
as you yourself
know very well.
know very well.
If then
Then
I am a wrongdoer
I am a wrongdoer
and have committed anything
and have committed anything
for which
for which
I deserve to die,
I deserve to die.
I do not seek to escape death.
I do not seek to escape death.
But if there is nothing
But if there is nothing
to their charges
to their charges
against me,
against me,
no one can give me up
no one can give me up
to them.
to them.
I appeal to Caesar.
I appeal to Caesar.
Then Festus,
Then Festus,
when he had conferred with his council,
when he had conferred with his council,
answered,
answered
to Caesar
to Caesar,
you have appealed,
you have appealed
to Caesar
to Caesar,
you shall go.
you shall go.
Now,
Now,
when some days had passed,
when some days had passed,
Agrippa,
Agrippa,
the king,
the king,
and Bernice
and Bernice
arrived
arrived at
Caesarea
Caesarea
and greeted Festus.
and greeted Festus.
And as they stayed there
And as they stayed there
many days, Festus laid Paul's case
Festus laid Paul's case
before the king,
before the king,
saying,
saying,
there is a man
there is a man
left prisoner
left prisoner
by Felix.
by Felix.
And when I was at Jerusalem,
And when I was at Jerusalem,
the chief priests
the chief priests
and the elders of the Jews
and the elders of the Jews
laid out their case
laid out their case
against him,
asking for a death
sentence of condemnation against him.
against him.
I answered them
I answered them
that it was not
that it was not
the custom of the Romans
the custom of the Romans
to give up anyone before the
council.
accused met the accusers face to face and had opportunity to make his defense concerning the charge laid against him. So when they came together here,
And when they came to again here,
I made no delay, but on the next day
took
my seat
my seat
on the tribunal
on the tribunal
and ordered the man to be brought. When the accusers stood up, they brought no charge in his case of such evils as I supposed.